Hello guys, how are we all doing? Welcome back to another Premier League video. Today it's Sophie's early Premier League predictions. How are you feeling, Sophie?
Yeah, it's very, very early, so I'm a little bit nervous doing this now, but I'm feeling good.
Yeah, like I say, guys, with these early predictions, do take them with a pinch of salt. We'll do more official predictions later on in the summer when we know what business has gone through. Before we get into this video, guys, do make sure to hit that like button. We'll go for 727 likes on this one, so please do make sure to hit that thumbs up button. Please do make sure to subscribe, as 70% of people viewing haven't. So please do hit the subscribe button to help this channel out and show us some support. Let's get into the predictions then. So then, just like with the other predictions we did, we're using a tier list again. Let's just break it down quickly. You've got the top 4 teams, 5th to 10th, the teams battling for European places. Mid-table, surviving the drop, and Sophie's bottom 3. Let's get straight into it, Soph, with Wolverhampton Wanderers.
This is a tough one, actually. I'm going to have them to survive in the surviving section.
So about 15th or something.
Yeah, I don't see them having a very good season. They didn't have the best of season. I think they're going to be losing a couple of players, whether that's retiring or moving on. And I do think that's going to impact them. Again, I just don't see them having that good of a season, to be honest. And that might seem a little bit harsh. Will be interesting to see if they get any players in. They do tend to go for foreign players, mainly Portuguese, but I don't think they're bad enough to go down, and I don't think they're good enough to be pushing higher than the bottom half, to be honest.
Okay, so you'll have Wolves sort of about 15th or so.
Yeah.
Interesting one. I think Wolves certainly showed how bad they could be last season, but at the end of the season when they stayed up, they showed how good they could be with some of their results as well. So, yeah, an interesting one, Wolves. I don't really know what to expect from them either. We'll just wait and see what players they bring in first. Let's go for Brentford, Sophie. Brentford are a pretty solid team now in the Premier League.
They are, so 5 to 10 for me.
Yeah, maybe they could secure some European football this season.
They could do. They've got to be one of the teams that you think might do it. I do think it's going to be an interesting one without Ivan Toney, because they won't have him this season.
Yeah.
So it'd be interesting to see who they can replace him with. But I don't think that's the be-all and end-all, because they are a very good team.
No.
A good manager too.
Yeah, it will have an effect, because he is just a monster. I think even though he didn't play every game this season, he was still the Premier League's 3rd top goal scorer or something like that. So, yeah, definitely a beast. But Brentford, very good at recruiting, and maybe they can replace him. Let's go for Arsenal, Sophie. They finished 2nd last year.
Yeah, top 4.
Do you expect Arsenal to be competing for the title again, maybe?
I actually don't.
No?
No. I feel like last season was the best chance they're going to get, and it was in their hands as well. And it was difficult when you've got Man City literally right on your tail, putting that pressure on. So I guess some people have said you can't really bottle the league when no one expected you to win it, and I do kind of agree with that, but it was in their hands for them to lose, and they did end up finishing 2nd. However, I think they've got a very good squad and a good manager who's getting the best out of that squad. So for me, it should be a top 4 finish.
Top 4, yeah, I agree with that one. That's where I put Arsenal in my early predictions. Let's move on to AFC Bournemouth, Sophie. Everyone in the football world seemed to write Bournemouth off last season, and they stayed up.
Yeah, I was one of them. I thought they would I think maybe bottom, to be honest. So they proved me wrong. I'm going to have them to survive. I think a lot of people will have them to go down, and I do think that they could be closer to the bottom 3 this season. But I think they showed last year that they are good enough to stay up in the Premier League.
Absolutely.
And I feel like they could do it again. You look at their squad and you don't think, oh, you've got amazing players. They don't have loads of star players all over the pitch, but they're proving that you don't need that. They've got a good team playing together, and I mean, they got some great results last season. I feel like they could do that again this season. So for me, they're going to survive.
Yeah, I really liked Philip Billing last year. I think he proved himself as a Premier League player last year after being in the Championship for a few seasons. So, yeah, I think Bournemouth could do it again. I think they need to get off to a good start, though, because it's going to be very difficult down the bottom. The 3 teams coming up will all want to stay up this time round. Speaking of teams coming up, we've got Luton Town, Sophie. You've got to say a massive congratulations to them for getting here.
Yeah, honestly, thoroughly deserved as well. Great season, and you deserve to win on the day in the playoff final. So fair play to you for going up. I wish you all the best in the Premier League. However, bottom 3.
Bottom 3.
Yeah.
it's difficult to argue. I think Luton could surprise people, like Bournemouth did a bit, but it's very difficult to say they're going to stay up right now. I suppose we haven't seen what players they've brought in just yet, but I don't know. Could it be possible that teams struggle to get results at Kenilworth Road?
I genuinely see them being a good team at home and them being quite hard to break down. I feel like they really need to have good home form if there's any chance of them staying up. I don't know, I do feel like they're going to have a few surprise wins and draws here and there, but for me they're not going to have enough right now to stay up, so bottom 3 for me.
Bottom 3. Nottingham Forest, Sophie?
Mid-table.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I feel like a few people will have them surviving again. I feel like they will do the same again in the summer window, and that's why I'm going to have them to finish mid-table. A couple of good loan signings again, and they should do it a little bit more comfortably this year. Yeah,
exactly. It's the second season. Now they can maybe look to push on a little bit. Don't get me wrong, it's very possible Forest could get sucked into a relegation battle again, but they proved that they were good enough to stay up last year, and Cooper's got a project going on. So, yeah, I think I agree with that one. Manchester United, Soph?
5 to 10.
Really?
Outside the top 4. And this is a really hard one as well.
Okay.
Saying that, they'll probably finish like 5th. Okay. I don't think it's going to be any lower than that, to be honest. But they have got a good team. They've got a good old budget. And they've got a good manager. And I think Ten Hag is getting the best out of the players. And it's going to seem harsh me saying they're going to finish outside the top 4. But I just see it being really, really close, and they're going to drop points here and there, and yeah, just outside the top 4 for me. Yeah,
I'm intrigued to see what players Manchester United bring in, but I think Ten Hag's first season will be looked on as quite a success, really.
I think it should be seen.
Third place, a Carabao Cup and an FA Cup final. Not too
and a
bad.
Good performance in the FA Cup final as well.
Yeah, they weren't too bad. Next up, Sophie, are Fulham. They finished mid-table last year.
For me, mid-table again.
Mid-table again?
Yeah, I feel like a lot of people in their predictions, and probably the bookies, will have them to finish maybe lower than that. And I can kind of see why. However, they had a very good season last year and they surprised a lot of people, including myself. They looked very, very comfortable in the Premier League, almost like just a Premier League regular, to be honest. And I feel like if they keep same team, same attitude, they should have another good season. So mid-table for me. Yeah, no,
I like that one. Although in my prediction I went different. We're entitled to our own opinions, but they were good last year. I will give them a lot of credit. Let's move on to Aston Villa, Sophie. Villa are playing in Europe next year, but where do they finish in the Premier League?
5 to 10.
Yeah, top half again. Yeah.
Yeah, big team, good manager, big budget. I feel like they could, especially now being in Europe, could attract even better players. They can afford to pay their wages as well, which obviously helps. I do feel like they're going to have another good season. I think Unai Emery didn't get enough credit last season, to be honest.
He sort of went under the radar.
Yeah, he did. Yeah. And he had a very good season with them.
Do you know what? I'm going to put it out there. They've got a European pedigree manager.
Yeah.
The Europa Conference League is a decent competition, but not impossible. I think Villa might win that.
Yeah, there's a good chance of them winning that. Yeah,
I think Villa might win that.
Yeah.
Let's see what they do. Let's move on to another team that's in Europe, Brighton. They're in the Europa League, so slightly more advanced competition. But as for the Premier League, Soph?
Still 5 to 10.
Yeah.
With Brighton, for me, when they lose players, I don't really worry too much. I feel like their recruitment is very, very good.
Spot on.
They do get some unknown gems, unknown players, and turn them into gems. Also, some of their young players coming up and through. Evan Ferguson, for one, good player. And I just don't worry about them. I think they're a very good team and another good season for me. So yeah, 5 to 10.
5 to 10, okay, interesting. Let's move on to Burnley, Sophie. They bossed the Championship.
They did. Surviving.
Okay.
Just surviving.
So 15th, 16th?
Yeah, apart from when they got relegated, they knew how to survive.
But they're a different team this time, huh?
Very different team and a different manager.
Yeah.
And also coming up from the Championship is different to just staying up, obviously. But for me, I do feel like you've got to consider how well they did in the Championship. They made it look easy most games, and I don't think it's going to be easy at all in the Premier League. It's a completely different kettle of fish, but I do feel like they've got enough and they've got a good manager to keep them up.
Okay, yeah, so you think Burnley will stay up.
Yeah.
Let's move on to Everton, Sophie. They stayed up by the skin of their teeth last year.
Not this season for me, bottom 3. And I feel like that's a big shout to make. I do think it'll be interesting to see who their outgoings will be this season, because surely they have got a couple of good players. They might need to sell just to reinvest and actually look up the table than looking down. I don't see them having a good season, and for me, it's going to be a bottom 3 finish.
Bottom 3 finish. Yep, there's a lot of off-the-pitch shenanigans at Everton, and I think until there's a big change at the top, like a change in ownership or something, I think Everton are only looking one way, and that's down the bottom end of the table. And it's a shame, as we say, they're a big club, they've got a pretty mental fan base, but as for how they play on the pitch and what to expect next season, they could be in trouble. You're going for them in your bottom 3.
Yeah.
Let's move on to Chelsea, Sophie. There's got to be some sort of improvement from them.
Yeah, but I don't see a massive improvement. 5 to 10.
Pochettino, though?
Yeah, Pochettino I think is going to be a big positive coming in. Do I feel like there might be a slight adjustment period? Maybe. Even Frank said himself, he said the players just aren't showing the fight, and he said it was almost an impossible task to get anything out of them. I think there's going to be quite a lot of changes as well. I think there's going to be a lot of outgoings. It'd be interesting to see if they do bring in any more, as they did bring in quite a few big, well, not big names, but big price tag players, and they've not seemed to do anything. So we'll see. Have a good pre-season under the belt. It's going to be a big change up. But I do like the manager, and that's why I feel like it will be 5 to 10 rather than mid-table. Okay,
maybe pushing back towards Europa League or something. Let's move on to Crystal Palace, Sophie. Mid-table, Hodgson dragged them away from the bottom 3 battle, but don't know what to expect coming into this season from them.
I expect mid-table again, actually. I feel like they'll get off to a better start. I don't actually have any concerns of them going down, which might surprise a couple of people.
Okay.
As you say, Roy Hodgson came in and did a great job, to be honest, which I didn't know whether he's past it or not, showing he's obviously not. They have got, I would say a good squad, but they've got a couple of good standout players, obviously in Zaha and Eze and Elise, and I don't see them finishing higher than mid-table. I don't see them finishing lower, so yeah, I feel like mid-table is a safe bet.
Okay, let's move on to Liverpool, Sophie. Can Jurgen Klopp get the Reds back on track?
Yeah, but it's not going to be easy.
Okay.
Towards the end of the season, they went on a really good run, and I feel like they might be able to carry that on into the next season. However, without Firmino, I do feel like that's a big miss. And it will be interesting to see who they get in. Obviously, they're linked with McAllister, and I think the deal's pretty much done. And I do think he's going to be a good player for them with Prem experience. But yeah, it'd be an interesting one. I think a lot of people have them to finish outside of top 4, but I think they'll just do it for me.
Okay, they're getting in there. Yeah. This is surely an easy one, so Manchester City.
Mid-table. No, obviously not.
No, bottom 3.
Yeah, bottom 3, dead set. Top 4, of course.
Let's put them in front of Arsenal as well.
Yeah, just have them first, because that's probably where they're going to finish. They're just unstoppable, aren't they?
Yeah, they're ridiculous. I mean, at the moment, at the time of recording this, they could be on for the treble this season. Yeah. So coming into next season, they're just a monster that no one can seem to stop.
Yeah.
You know, I'm not trying to take anything away from Guardiola, but even if he walks out, I still fancy them to win the league.
Oh yeah, I think anyone could come in at the moment with that squad and get the same results.
Yeah, honestly, Man City, full of praise for you. We're going top 4. Newcastle, do they join the top 4?
They do.
Okay, they stay there.
Yeah.
I'm excited to see them in the Champions League.
Yeah, I am actually, and I'm excited to see them again next season. I feel like they can keep building on, obviously with their new owners coming in a little while ago. They've got a lot more money to play with, but they're not just splashing silly cash here and there. They're doing it quite well, and that's why I hope they do. I hope they do well. So for me, top 4 again.
Top 4 again. Okay, 3 teams left. What do you think of Tottenham?
5 to 10.
5 to 10. All right.
Yeah, for me, it's very, very important that Spurs keep hold of Harry Kane.
Yeah.
As he is virtually their only goal scorer.
He got 30 goals last year.
Which is actually insane for that team
in the
as
Premier
well.
League, yeah, for a team that finished 8th.
Yeah, and it's very, very impressive. So yeah, I think the most important thing, keep hold of Harry Kane, keep him fit, and you should finish 5 to 10. It'll be interesting to see what kind of manager they get in. Also see who they can bring in and who they can bring into the starting 11, because they obviously do need to make some improvements. It's not been the best of seasons, not been the worst seasons, but really they need to be finishing top 6 for me.
Yeah, I agree. You know, pretty big club, but pretty underwhelming at times last season. 2 teams left, Sophie. Let's move on to West Ham United. What do you reckon?
Oh, who's going down out of those 2? Not West Ham. West Ham mid-table for me.
They could be playing in Europe next year.
Yeah, so firstly they've not played their Europe Conference League final yet, so good luck to them with that. All focus on that, and then obviously they'll be looking to improve on next season.
Yeah. Well, if they win that, they're in the Europa League next year, and they'll want to push on in the Prem next year as well, because I don't know if it was because they were distracted with the European competition, but they were a bit below par last season in the Prem.
Yeah, they were below their own standards, to be honest, and I do feel like they need to improve next season. I don't think they're going to be as close to the relegation battle as they were. They have got some good players. I don't think David Moyes is a bad manager either, to be honest.
No.
So I think they'll stick with him and look to push on next season. So mid-table though.
Okay, 1 team left, Sophie. Sheffield United. They came second in the Championship, but
for me they're going back down.
Okay. I backed them to stay up.
I think they could stay up. I'm not saying it's impossible.
But I can see your point for putting them down. I think whatever happens with Sheffield United, it's going to be close. They were good last year, and I think they're another team that it's not going to be easy for teams to go to Bramall Lane and pick up points.
No, they proved last season they're a very, very tough team to break down, and they're obviously quite strong going forward as well. I don't see them having enough quality as it is right now to stay up. They might make quite a few changes and add a good few positive players into the squad, but right now I just don't think they've got enough to stay up.
No. Well, we'll see. It's going to be difficult, but Blades fans, share your thoughts nonetheless. So then, guys, that wraps up Sophie's early Premier League predictions. Do let us know your thoughts down below. Let us know where you're predicting teams to go. Do take these predictions with a pinch of salt. We'll do, like I say, our official predictions later on in the summer. Please do make sure, like I say, to hit that like button, as it is free to do, and it really helps the channel. Please do hit the subscribe button while you're there as well. Thank you for joining me, Sophie.
Thank you.
And we'll see you all in the next one. Peace out.